I'm going to play 2 jazz lines. Here's the first one. And now here's the second one. Now, which of the two sounded jazzier to you? I think we could both agree that the second one definitely sounds like that. I mean, the first one, yes, it was correct, but the second one definitely had some things in it which made it sound more like jazz. So I am going to share a trick with you, a very simple trick in this video to help you to create lines that sound jazzy. This little trick that I'm going to show you is called enclosure. Now, enclosure is a technique that's used to simply surround any target note. So, just now I was playing a chord progression known as a 2-5-1 progression. So I'm in the key of C. So chord 2 is D minor, chord 5 is G, and then chord 1 is C. But since I'm playing jazz, I'm going to make each of these chords a 7th chord. So for my 2 chord, I'm going to play D minor 7. So I'm also going to refer to these 4 notes, the D, F, A, and C, as my chord tones, and I will be targeting these chord tones. So D minor 7, and then G7, which really is G, B, D, F. But since I'm already here and I've got a D and an F, I'm going to play an inversion. So here's my G. Right, so I'm going to play G7 like that. And then for C major 7, I am going to play C, E, G, and B. Those are my chord tones which I'll be targeting. Okay, so just quick recap. They are my chord tones for the D minor 7, D, F, A, C, and then chord tones for my G7, D, F, G, B, chord tones for my C major 7, C, E, G, B. Now, the interesting thing about notes, and the piano is a great visual for this, is that every key is surrounded by something. So every note is surrounded by something. So for instance, this note C is surrounded, if I'm just looking at the white keys, this is surrounded by D and B. Those are the 2 notes on either side. I could also say it's surrounded by C sharp and B. And D is surrounded by E and C. It's also surrounded by E flat and D flat. Okay, so even if I go to the black keys like this D flat here, it's surrounded by D, it's surrounded by C. So every note, there's no note that's in isolation. Every note has some notes around it. So if I go to our first chord, which was that D minor 7, we say these are the chord tones, right? So this is our 2 chord in the key of C. When I want to play maybe the note D, one thing I could definitely do, which I did in my example actually at the beginning, is I can play the note. So I want to play D. But instead of just playing D, let me surround D by playing the note above it and a note below it. So one thing I could do is I could go, and that's one way I can get to D as my target. Okay, so maybe I wanted to play, instead of playing that, I could go, so I'm surrounding the D. I'm surrounding it in this instance using notes that are in the scale. But I could also surround it using notes that are not in the scale. So I could play, because there's D, it's surrounded by E flat and D flat. So I could go, that's another way to do that. So first I had, now I've got, So sometimes when you play notes that are not in the scale, that actually makes it sound jazzy. The other thing you could do with this concept of surrounding, because first we surrounded with notes in the scale, then we surrounded with notes that are outside the scale, we could also surround by using a mix of notes in the scale and notes that are not in the scale. So I could have gone, start on the E, which is above D, and then go to D flat, which is below D. So I could play like that. Okay, so that's one way to surround. I wonder if I could start on a non-scale note above. So I could start on E flat and then go to a scale note, which is C. So I could do that. So already we've covered a lot of possibilities with regards to surrounding just one note. So a nice way to practice this might be, since there are 4 chord tones, you could start by simply practicing using the diatonic notes, so the notes in the scale. So you could go, we've surrounded the D, we could surround the F, we could surround the A, you could surround the C. Let me do that again. So this time with this accompaniment here. So I could go surrounding the F, now surrounding the A, I'm going to surround C now. There's C, I'm surrounding A, I'm going to surround F, surround D. Okay, so those are all ways of surrounding the chord tones to my 2 chord, which is D minor 7. I could mix these things up and not only use scale tones, but I could use notes that are outside this particular key or particular scale. So I could go okay, so I'm starting to get interesting things by just trying different combinations. So suppose I was just playing something on a D minor. So here are the chord tones. Here are the chord tones again. Now I'm going to surround them. So I'm playing a mix of chord tones, but also using enclosure to add a jazz flavor to that. So that's me surrounding notes on the D minor 7 chord, but since I'm playing a 2-5-1 progression, when I get to the G7, I can then start thinking about surrounding these notes. So I've already been surrounding D and F, but G is now a chord tone as well. So I might want to surround it like that. Or surround the B. Right, so here's the notes for a G7 again, D, F, B, G. And then finally, I go to a C major 7 chord. I've just surrounded C by... I'm surrounding the G, which is the other chord tone. I'm surrounding E now, and I'm surrounding C. Okay, so just with 3 notes, you discover that there's quite a lot of possibilities. So one way I like to practice this is to just make the chord long. In fact, if I'm playing a chord progression, make each chord long enough just so that I can practice enclosing every chord tone. So for my 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, maybe I might play 2 measures of that, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, and then 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, I could go longer if I want to. So here I'm playing each chord for 2 measures. I could play it for 4 measures if I've got a lot of things to experiment with. So I'm going to try 2 measures and see how this goes. So I'm going to start, I'm surrounding D, then F, then A, then C. Okay, so here goes nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in fact, I'm going to try that again. I wasn't counting, so I'm going to try this. So it might be 4 measures actually. We'll see how this goes. I'm actually not going to be worried so much about counting. What I'm really going to worry about is enclosing every chord tone. Then I'll change from 2 to 5 to 1. So here's chord 2, sorry. In fact, there's part of this which sounds like it sounds like this part here. Okay, when you listen to that song, you'll probably recognize what I'm talking about. So that's a Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie song. I've forgotten the title, but it's based on the chords for what is this thing called Love. So I've just practiced my chord tones on the 2-5-1. Now I'm practicing on the G. So I can do that again. So you begin to make up all these interesting lines using just those basic chords. So what I then like to do is I'll take a song maybe that I know well, and usually you want to start with something that's not too difficult. So maybe something like So What, because that uses just one chord, so you can just be thinking of a D minor. So you can try and emphasize your chord tones, but enclose them. So use enclosure over your chord tones. If you feel like you're getting the hang of it, you might want to go to something that's maybe not too far from that. Maybe something like Summertime. You see, that's all on a D minor. And then now I go to G minor. Now that G minor chord, so that was G minor, E half diminished, now to A7. I got lost a little bit there, but I hope you get the point, right? So the point is you just want to practice enclosure over the chords to your jazz standard. You obviously have to know the jazz standard quite well. So I was trying this on Summertime, and once you feel like you're making progress on this is hopefully over a long period of time, at least a month of just telling yourself, I'm working on nothing else except enclosure. When you then begin to incorporate other things, like instead of just playing chord tones, you start playing other scale tones. Okay, so that's just a bit of improvisation. I was trying to keep it as simple as possible, but my focus was really enclosing the chord tones to that chord progression. So feel free to play around with this idea as much as possible. I guess that's why it's called playing the piano. You've got to have this topic or this idea that you focus on, and then you begin to play around with it and make up your own melodies and your own lines. So the goal is not to necessarily sound like anyone or to only play the ideas that I've given you. The goal should be for you to create your own ideas, which hopefully no one's heard before, and that's really your sound. So try this first on simple songs, a few chords, and then or maybe even just one chord songs, and then you gradually develop that. And before you know it, you are speaking the language of jazz, and your playing won't sound so much like a student anymore. Hopefully it'll have a professional touch to it. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I've got a workshop coming up soon, which hopefully, in fact, let me share the details of that workshop with you. So I've got a free jazz workshop coming up on Saturday the 2nd of August at 5:30. By the way, this is the year 2025, in case you watch this in the year 2032 or something. Right, so on Saturday 2nd of August at 5:30 Central African time, I will be giving a free workshop where I'll be giving tips like this and other information on how to learn jazz. So please feel free to check that out. This will be on Zoom. So the link will be in the description to this video. So please feel free to click on that, and then I will send you the link to the Zoom meeting. Okay, so remember, Saturday 2nd of August, 5:30 Central African time. And if you're not in Africa, it will be worth just going to Google and say, what time is it here where I live when it's 5:30 in Central Africa? Okay, and then we'll be in sync. So I'm going to teach things about jazz, like I said, but I'm also going to be giving you some insight into my 90-day program, which also begins on Saturday the 6th of September. Okay, so throughout the year, I do 90-day programs. I'm actually about to finish one this July. So the first one starts in September. So I'm hoping to have as many people as possible there. I will tell you more about this at the free workshop that I'm doing on the 2nd of August. But the link to the 90-day program will be in the description as well. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, and if you like the stuff that I'm sharing, please feel free to click on that subscribe button so that you don't miss any videos from me. I think they're quite valuable, and if you've watched this video up to this point, you probably think so too. So instead of just listening to them over and over and over, if you apply these concepts, I can guarantee you that you will start to see changes and improvements, positive changes in your playing. Okay, so please subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video.